The most important thing to do in an interview is to be honest. You're forthcoming about what you know, what you don't know, what you can do, then that's okay. If a job posting asks for one set of skills, sometimes those are desired sets of skills, but you don't know the rest of the applicants. Sometimes they're going to hire you because you seem like you're really willing to learn, or you've got some other attributes that are really exciting to a company, and they can teach you how to do some of these other things. So you can still do all right if you don't have all of the qualities, but you need to be forthcoming about that and say, I'm willing to learn. But that level of integrity is really important. In an interview, it's about asking questions and listening. A successful interview, at some point in the interview, stops being an interview and it starts being a conversation. And when you get into a conversation, a cool conversation with somebody, then you know you're having a good interview, is because now it's changed from I'm being grilled to we're talking about our profession. And that's a really exciting thing as an interviewee. To do that is you have to be able to talk to the person about what they're thinking about. And so you actively listen. What sort of terminology are they using? What do they value? What's important to them in their questioning? And then as you supply that back, right, give them what they're actually looking for in conversation, it can turn into a back and forth rather than a question and answer. And that really turns an interview and can make them successful. What I do for my experience, well, it's a little different because I'm very research and teaching oriented. So for my perspective in business is I use my knowledge to help students get internships, jobs, whatever it happens to be. So my experience in the professional world that's not academics is really limited. So I've actually stopped relying a lot on my personal experience and started relying much more on my friends and my wife's and alumni, people who have graduated and then will come back and talk to me about what it's like in the working world. The other thing I do is I listen to podcasts that are professionally oriented podcasts. So for my social media class, I listen to a social media marketing podcast where they talk about email marketing and trends in industry and all this stuff. So to make sure that I at least am up on what's going on so that I can help relay that to my students. It doesn't have to. The saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, is overblown, I think. What you know really matters. And if you don't know anybody in a company, but you have a killer resume and you are an expert and you show up and you know your stuff, like, nobody's going to turn you down just because you're not buddies with Jeff down the hall. Or if they do, you don't want to work for that company anyways, because that's a terrible place to work if it's just based on the who you know. So while networking can help and get you some cool opportunities, it is not the end-all be-all in an interview by any means.